Have you ever really thought about what happens when you fall asleep? I don't mean the physical process. I mean that quiet moment, when the room goes still, the lights fade, and your mind drifts into a place where you're no longer in control. You're not watching. You're not guarding. You're not even aware of time passing. And yet, something beautiful is happening. Psalm 3 gives us a quiet, powerful truth. I lie down and sleep, I wake again, because the Lord sustains me. It's easy to overlook those words. But think about it, every night when we close our eyes, we're trusting the world not to fall apart while we rest. We surrender to sleep, but the world keeps spinning, and God keeps watching. In a time where we worry about so much, health, bills, safety, regrets, relationships, sleep can become a place of anxiety instead of peace. Some of us lie awake with minds racing. Others carry the weight of unseen battles, even into their dreams. But Psalm 3 reminds us, we're not left unguarded. The same God who parted seas, calmed storms, and raised the dead, is awake when we're not. That's not just poetic. That's personal. There's a spiritual mystery in the way God watches over us while we sleep. We're vulnerable. We can't fight or fix anything in that moment. And yet, in that deep silence, God is working. Healing. Protecting. Restoring. Watching. It's like a father watching over his child in the middle of the night. Not to invade the dream, but to be near. To make sure nothing harms the one he loves. That's what heaven does for you. Even when you don't feel it. So tonight, when you lay your head down, try something different. Don't just fall asleep. Surrender. Breathe. Trust. Remind your soul that you're not alone in the dark. Heaven is still awake. And if this message brings peace to your heart, I invite you to like this video, share it with someone who needs it tonight, and subscribe for more faith-filled content that helps your soul rest deeper. Let's journey through Psalm 3 together, where fear fades and peace begins. Before we can understand the peace in Psalm 3, we have to understand the pain behind it. This psalm wasn't written in a moment of comfort. It was written during one of the darkest, most heartbreaking times in David's life. His own son, Absalom, had risen up against him. Imagine that. The very child you once held in your arms, now chasing you through the wilderness, not just with anger, but with an army. David was a king, but in this moment, he was also a father. A broken father. A man stripped of power, sleeping in caves, with his most trusted allies abandoning him. He begins the psalm with raw, trembling words. Lord, how many are my foes? How many rise up against me? This isn't poetic exaggeration. This is a real cry from a man who felt outnumbered and overwhelmed. But here's where the beauty begins. David doesn't stay in fear. He doesn't numb himself. He doesn't rage. He prays. And not the polished, Sunday morning kind of prayer. This is prayer with dirt on your hands and tears in your eyes. Honest. Undone. Human. Sometimes we think we have to come to God only when we're put together. But Psalm 3 shows us the opposite. That prayer begins where pride ends. David could have chosen bitterness. He could have cursed God. But instead, he chose to open his soul. To lay it bare. And that vulnerability became the doorway to peace. Maybe you're in a season right now where you feel like you're running too, emotionally, spiritually, maybe even literally. And maybe some of the pain you're feeling comes from the people closest to you. If that's you, you're not alone. Psalm 3 wasn't written for the comfortable. It was written for the cornered. And the same God who met David in the shadows, is ready to meet you tonight. Breathe that in. Let that truth begin to calm the noise inside. There's something about nighttime that makes fear feel louder. The noise of the day fades. The distractions disappear. And suddenly, you're left alone with your thoughts, the doubts, the questions, the echoes of things you've tried to push away. Psalm 3 verse 2 captures that moment with piercing honesty. Many are saying of me, God will not deliver him. Have you ever felt like that? Like even your faith is slipping through your fingers? Maybe not just because of your own fears, but because others around you have started to believe you're beyond help. They might not say it out loud, but you feel it. You feel the distance, the judgment, the silence. When the voices around us say, God won't come for you, it can begin to sound convincing. But here's something worth remembering: David heard those same whispers, and he didn't believe them. He could have. After all, his enemies were many. His situation was desperate. He was exhausted, emotionally and physically. And yet, deep inside, he held on to something stronger than what others were saying. This is where faith becomes more than words. It becomes a quiet anchor in a loud storm. When people say, you're not worth saving, God says, you are mine. When the world whispers, you're finished, heaven declares, I've only just begun. I've had moments, too, when the night felt long and heavy. When even prayer felt distant, like tossing words into the wind. But somehow, in the stillness, God's presence doesn't shout, it settles. Like a blanket of peace on a restless soul. Maybe tonight you need to be reminded of this. Fear may speak loudly, but it's not the final voice. Let your heart return to the truth that never changes. You are not abandoned. You are not alone. And no voice, not even your own, can cancel what God has spoken over you. Some battles are loud. Others are silent. There are days when the fight is visible: stress, deadlines, conflict. But there are nights when the battle hides in the quiet. In thoughts. In fear. In shame. And it's in those moments, when we feel most exposed, most vulnerable, that Psalm 3 verse 3 whispers something powerful. But you, Lord, are a shield around me, my glory, the one who lifts my head high. This verse isn't just comforting, it's a declaration. Because the kind of shield David is talking about isn't made of iron or bronze. It's not something you hold. It's something that surrounds you. A shield that moves with you. That wraps around your spirit even when your body is weak. God doesn't stand at a distance while you suffer. He comes close. He doesn't just protect your life, he protects your dignity. There's a reason David said, the one who lifts my head high. Shame tries to lower us. Fear tries to bury us. But God lifts. Gently. Steadily. He reaches under your chin, not to correct, but to restore. Have you ever had a moment when you couldn't even look up? Not physically, but emotionally. Spiritually. Like the weight of disappointment, or guilt, or exhaustion just kept your head down. This verse tells you, God sees that. And he refuses to leave you there. His shield is not only for defense, it's for dignity. You are not defined by what you fear. You are not stuck in what you failed. In the darkest moments, God surrounds you, not with judgment, but with presence. Not with noise, but with nearness. Right now, as you hear these words, take a breath. Feel that. The shield is already around you. The lifting has already begun. Let Psalm 3 verse 3 be your reminder tonight: you are not unguarded. You are not forgotten. And you are not meant to carry shame alone. How do you sleep when your world is falling apart? That's not just a poetic question, it's a human one. Because for many of us, nighttime isn't peaceful. It's when the mind races. When what we've hidden during the day rises to the surface. When fears, regrets, or uncertainties find their voice. But Psalm 3 verse 5 offers something so radical, it almost sounds impossible. I lie down and sleep. I wake again, because the Lord sustains me. David wrote that. And he wasn't in a peaceful place. He was being hunted, betrayed by his own son. His life was hanging by a thread. He was outnumbered, exiled, on the run. And still, He slept. Not because the storm was over, but because he knew who was watching through the night. This is the heart of Psalm 3. It's not about the absence of danger. It's about the presence of God. The kind of rest David experienced didn't come from comfort. It came from surrender. He didn't try to control what he couldn't. He didn't spend the night planning revenge or pacing in fear. He trusted, deeply, completely, that God was holding his life, even as enemies surrounded him. Think about that for a moment. What if peace isn't found in escaping the storm, but in knowing you're not in it alone? That the God who watches sparrows and calms oceans, also watches over your bed at night. I've had nights where I couldn't sleep, not because I wasn't tired, but because my soul was heavy. Maybe you've had those nights too. But slowly, I've learned what David knew: peace is not the product of silence, it's the fruit of surrender. To say, God, I can't fix it tonight, but I believe you're awake, so I can rest. That's not weakness. That's worship. So tonight, if you're anxious, if your heart is loud even in the quiet, pause. Breathe. And surrender. Let this be your prayer. I will lie down and sleep, because you, Lord, sustain me. There's a quiet strength in waking up with courage. Not because the world has changed overnight, but because you have. Psalm 3 verse 6 declares something bold, almost defiant. I will not fear though tens of thousands assail me on every side. These aren't the words of a man in denial. These are the words of someone who knows who holds his future. David didn't just wake up rested, he woke up ready. Ready to face what hadn't changed. Ready to stand even though the odds were still stacked against him. Because the night wasn't an escape. It was preparation. And the same God who sustained him through the dark, filled him with boldness at dawn. What if we looked at sleep that way? Not just as recovery, but as sacred alignment. A moment where God whispers courage into our bones. Where rest isn't passive, it's holy. Because here's the truth, when God guards your night, He also empowers your morning. There's something powerful about knowing you're not stepping into the day alone. That even if you feel outnumbered, by stress, expectations, problems, you don't have to be overwhelmed. The same God who watched over your rest has already gone ahead into your reality. You don't have to fear what's next when you walk with the one who's already seen the outcome. This doesn't mean everything will be easy. But it does mean you'll never face it without strength. Psalm 3 invites us into a rhythm: rest with trust, rise with confidence. And repeat. So tomorrow morning, when your eyes open, try whispering this to your soul. I will not fear. God is with me. And that's enough. Let your confidence rise, not from perfection, but from presence. Sometimes, the most powerful prayers don't end in desperation, but in certainty. Psalm 3 closes with a bold and beautiful truth. From the Lord comes deliverance. May your blessing be on your people. David doesn't end his prayer by begging God for help. He ends it by declaring who God is. Deliverance doesn't just come from effort, or from timing, or from luck. It comes from the Lord, directly, personally, and purposefully. And David knew this. He had cried out in fear. He had faced betrayal, danger, and darkness. But now, something shifts. His tone changes. This isn't fear talking anymore, it's faith. There's a peace that comes when you stop wrestling and start resting in God's promises. And here's the beauty: David doesn't just ask for salvation for himself. He says, may your blessing be on your people. That's what true peace does, it overflows. When your soul has been rescued, you start to want that same freedom for others. When you've tasted mercy, you begin to pray that others would too. Think about that. In the same breath that David declares his own deliverance, he intercedes for the people around him. That's not just maturity. That's transformation. Maybe you've walked through something lately, a storm, a trial, a quiet battle in your heart. And maybe, like David, you've cried out in the night, not knowing if you'd be heard. But if you're hearing this now, maybe it's your sign that the answer is already moving toward you. Deliverance still comes from the Lord. Not from striving. Not from escape. From grace. And when you receive that grace, let it not stop with you. Who in your life needs to feel that blessing today? Who needs to hear, you're not forgotten? You're not too far gone. Let your healing become someone else's hope. Let your peace become someone's prayer. God of my breath. Tonight, I lay down my fears. I release the things I cannot control. I trust that you are watching, even when I cannot see. Be my shield in the darkness, my rest in the storm. Lift my head when shame tries to weigh it down. Let your presence surround my bed, and your peace guard my mind. I lie down and sleep, for you, O Lord, sustain me. Even when tens of thousands rise against me, I will not fear. For you are with me. And that is enough. Amen. Even when the whole world is asleep, heaven is still awake. Even when your room is silent and still, the eyes of God are never closed. Psalm 3 is not just ancient poetry, it's a living rhythm of peace. A rhythm that says, when you lie down and everything feels uncertain, you are not alone. God is guarding you while you sleep. He doesn't just observe from a distance. He surrounds you. He lifts your head. He restores your soul. He rescues you, not by removing the storm, but by walking with you through it. David wrote these words in his darkest hour, fleeing, betrayed, chased by his own son. And even in the terror of that moment, he rested. And so can you. So whatever you're carrying tonight, let Psalm 3 become your rhythm. Lie down in trust. Wake up in peace. Breathe deep. You are not forgotten. You are not defenseless. You are not walking this path alone. And when life grows loud again, come back here. Come back to stillness. Because peace isn't found in perfect conditions. It's found in the presence of the one who never sleeps. If this message spoke to your soul, I invite you to like this video, subscribe for more peace-filled reflections, and share it with someone who needs to feel God's nearness tonight. From the Lord comes deliverance. And His blessing rests on you.